Rachel Maddow is now coming for your Beanie Babies and your Bitcoin. Well, Rachel, you will never touch my nuts and you're never getting my corn. The Rachel Maddow Show, MSNBC. This clip is from yesterday. So Trump announced that we were getting a strategic Bitcoin reserve along with this crypto stockpile. So this was yesterday evening. Today we had the Digital Asset Summit. And Rachel, she goes on and basically trashes Bitcoin, trashes cryptocurrencies, and she's just comparing them to Beanie Babies, just some craze, not really anything that's worth owning, and she really doesn't seem to grasp Bitcoin. I will agree with her a little bit in this clip, so I'm going to go ahead and roll it for you, and we're going to just break this apart, which is an absolute shit show, by the way. There's a lot of contradictions in here, and you can really just tell how she doesn't understand what is truly going on, or maybe she's getting this message to just bring to the public from some higher ups, which is my theory. So she starts off by saying,
I should say I'm by no means a crypto expert. I'm not going to give you a lecture on blockchain or meme coins or any of that. I just, A, I don't know, and B, I don't care.
Okay, so she admits that she doesn't know much, rightfully so. I'm glad she said that because she's going to go ahead to butcher this opinion piece that she wrote. I don't know who wrote it, maybe someone else for her. And she basically is, saying, oh, I don't care, but yet, goes on to do a whole segment about it and, lying to the people.
But I do think it's worth looking at this crypto thing a little bit, only because it is a deeply, deeply old-fashioned, simple scam at this point, which points right to the White House. News from the White House tonight really gives us no choice.
So she's going to say that it's a scam right off the bat. So that's a really big word. A scam is something that it's basically you're offered something and that's not really what you get in return, which we know that Bitcoin isn't a scam. Some of these other cryptocurrencies, we could beg to differ. They basically are scams. They're rug pulls. They're just meant to make the owners of them or the creators of them richer. So I will halfway agree with her point there in the beginning about the scam, but she's not showing the overall picture with the Bitcoin strategic reserve here.
You have to look at it. Hopefully, the broad strokes of crypto trading are not complicated. It's like when there was the Beanie Baby craze in the late 90s. People started buying these stuffed animals, right? Beanie Babies, kind of inherently not worth much, but people were speculating on them, right? It was a Beanie Baby trading bubble.
This is Mystic. So this one is my exact birthday. So I love this one. It's a unicorn. Isn't that so cool? So I have every variation of Mystic. And yes, I actually did collect Beanie Babies, but my house actually got destroyed by a hurricane. So a lot of them were just lost when I was younger. I don't even remember the ones that I had, but my favorites, this one, this squirrel, I actually thought that it could come to life because the older kids told me it could. So I literally thought that this was like a magical Beanie Baby because I thought it could literally come to life. And then my aunt got this for me, and I just think it's so cute with all the iridescent stuff. The horns are like shiny, and then you have the plain one, and then you have this one with the different horn. This one has the plain. So yeah, Beanie Babies are fun, okay? So she's basically hating on them and comparing the whole crypto space in its entirety, I guess, because she's not being specific about Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin is not a scam and can't be compared to Beanie Babies. Come on, woman. This is the hardest money on earth, hardest asset ever. And you're going to compare it to, no offense, but to my little nuts Beanie Baby here. Really? Yes, you could compare the other cryptocurrencies to it. So like I said, she's just not being specific enough, and I'm sure that's intended.
Than maybe some emotional value if you had one as a child, Beanie Babies didn't have much inherent value, but it was worth buying up a bunch of them because there was speculation on the premise that as collectibles, maybe one day your Beanie Babies collection.
I just have to comment too that this is such a boomer thing to do, to like bring up Beanie Babies regarding cryptocurrency.
Could be worth a lot of money. Cryptocurrencies operate on the same idea. They have no inherent value at all. The only value,
just like the US dollar, right?
They have is if you have some reason to believe that somebody else might want to buy them from you in the future. That's it. And what that means in very practical terms is that convincing other people that your crypto is popular and in demand, convincing people that your crypto thing is going to have value in the future. It's going to be collectible as Beanie Babies. That is key to actually making money.
Congratulations, Rachel. You just described all money ever. Yeah, that's exactly what money is. People basically determine its value. If you're going to use it, it's going to be usable and it's going to be valuable, and you're going to have the population using it. If you read some of the history about economics and money, they used to use, seashells and different forms of trade for money, whatever has value. So yes, people did speculate on these Beanie Babies just like they would speculate on anything, a painting, the stock market. And so she's actually kind of exposing that, yeah, Bitcoin is multi-layered and it's an investment, but it's also a currency. So I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of boomers and leftists at home just eating this up and like, yes, this stuff is a scam. And you're going to have a whole group of people, leftists, that are again going to lose out on the best investment that our generation has ever been presented with. Maybe the whole history of any type of investment, Bitcoin is the strongest and best investment of humanity. Okay. And she's not being specific enough. She's talking about the whole crypto space overall. But this is a great introduction. But I do feel like we're going to see a trend here with leftists just following this this dialogue and this narrative. And if it keeps being pushed by the mainstream and all of these big outlets, then I do see leftists, really fighting the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space, which we've seen that they already kind of have taken a shot and saying, oh, it's bad for the climate. They're making it like a climate change issue regarding the miners. So I'm interested to see if they keep up with this and if it becomes a pattern and if other outlets are also saying the same thing and what they're going to continue to say in the future.
One of the things the SEC alleged a couple of years ago in 2023 was that Justin Sun had orchestrated a scheme to pay celebrities to tout his cryptocurrencies without disclosing that he had paid them to do so. So in other words, he was creating the impression of hype and organic enthusiasm around his product when that hype didn't naturally exist.
We've seen cryptocurrencies use celebrities all the time and marketing, advertisement, and a lot of them are scams. So TRX, that one I am familiar with, and he's always been out there trying to get himself in the media. He was also out there buying that really expensive banana and then just eating it off the wall. So obviously they're trying to get their company out there. These are centralized cryptocurrencies, meaning we know who the creator is, we know who the CEOs and the founders and all the people working for the cryptocurrency, whereas Bitcoin is completely decentralized. So it's not a great comparison. And I don't know if TRX is part of the digital asset stockpile. But I do know that all I care about is the Bitcoin reserve, strategic reserve, which is separate. So she's, like she said, doesn't know much about it. So she's not being fully transparent by not being educated because she's not able to explain fully what's going on in the situation.
That was the allegation, which, again, Justin Sun has denied. And now the SEC has halted the case right after he gave more than $50 million to the Trump family. The idea of hype in cryptocurrency is that people should buy in soon, right? Get in on the ground floor while it's cheap because it's about to go way up in value because there's so much interest in it. You get in on the ground floor now, you'll make a bundle. It's the whole hype. It's the whole scam. And when I mentioned that the news tonight leaves us not much choice, but to talk about this stuff right now, this is what I mean. The White House just posted this video tonight of Donald Trump signing an executive order establishing a digital Fort Knox, as someone says to the president off camera. Trump apparently signing this executive order, creating what they're describing.
Okay, so she's still going off of the back of talking about TRX, BTT, and that whole thing, which is different altcoin cryptocurrency. It's not Bitcoin. And so she's feeding that into then this clip that says here on the screen, Trump signs executive order establishing strategic Bitcoin reserve, which is separate from the digital asset stockpile. So she's not differentiating that, and she's making a joke and saying, oh, like they're referring to it as this and that, and it's just like you don't even know exactly what you're talking about because they're talking about the strategic Bitcoin reserve here. And yes, it does have these other cryptocurrencies in the separate stockpile, which they are not going to be buying more of them. They're just going to be holding on to those. I'm not sure if they're going to be actually selling them. I have to go over again. We actually have it pulled up here on the White House Gov, so I can pull it up. But I don't know if they actually went over and talked about that specifically, if they will be selling them. But if it's a strategic, if they're using some sort of a strategy here with the other digital stockpile, then that is going to be hopefully selling so that they can actually use those funds for something like to buy more Bitcoin, because they said that they would be buying more Bitcoin, but it was going to be neutral in the sense that they're not going to be using money to buy it. They're going to be actually investing in ways that is neutral for the taxpayers, because we don't want to have the taxpayers paying for the Bitcoin. So that could be like money from Doge. That could be money from the gold. They could sell the gold. So there's different ways that we would be able to acquire more Bitcoin neutrally without actually having to take it out of taxpayers' pockets, right? So this is what I'm just wondering is I don't know what they're going to do with the other altcoins that they basically seize and confiscate. But yeah, like I said, she's not going through any of these fine details. And then this is how you end up with misinformation and her just kind of making this blanket statement and laughing at the whole space overall. And then you're going to have older generations or even younger generations that they have no idea about any of this type of language revolving cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And they're not going to know the difference between the two, even people that might be slightly educated in the space.
As a federal government cryptocurrency reserve. Now, imagine the Beanie Babies again for a second. Imagine Trump had just announced that the U.S. government was going to buy up tons of Beanie Babies. We are going to establish a federal government reserve of billions of Beanie Babies. What do you think would happen to the value of Beanie Babies? Right?
Well, if we're talking specifically about the reserve, which is what you said, Maddow, then this wouldn't be an equal comparison, because Beanie Babies are not scarce. You can just create more and more Beanie Babies. There's all different kinds of Beanie Babies. So if you're specifically talking about all of the altcoins and that digital stockpile, then that's what you need to refer to. I don't think you should continue talking on this subject when you're not educated on it, because the reserve is about Bitcoin. It's not about all those other shit coins, which you need to learn the difference.
Oh, it turns out there's a huge guaranteed buyer for these things. They're buying billions of them. I should mention that when Trump first brought up this idea, this cryptocurrency national reserve thing on Sunday, he name-checked 5 specific cryptocurrencies that would be going into this government reserve. And Trump's own cryptocurrency company, his own project, bought $20 million of those currencies, of 2 of those currencies this week, ahead of what we now know will be a White House summit on crypto tomorrow.
All of this information that she's saying is public. So you're able to see how much they're buying. They have it on an open website for the public to see. So that's completely decentralized. We're able to follow it. So it's on you if you didn't go ahead and see what they were investing in and invest yourself. I mean, people were following Nancy Pelosi's trades and her inside information, but there really wasn't any disclosure from Nancy. At least Trump is showing the people that he's working with and what they're investing in. But I really like the fact that with the Bitcoin reserve, they're holding the government's Bitcoin that the government already owns, United States of America, and then they're just going to be able to add to it. So that's really good, and it kind of shits on the shitcoiners because they're not doing that for the digital asset stockpile.
If the whole idea here is that you hype something by making it appear that there is a market, that there's demand, that there's lots and lots of buyers for specific crypto.
And one more thing on that, the world liberty that she's talking about with them buying up these other altcoins, which any altcoin is anything other than Bitcoin. basically it's a separate company that Trump is somewhat affiliated with, and so they're showing what they're buying. But that's not what the United States of America is doing. Okay, the United States of America has their strategic Bitcoin reserve only. So I think all of that stuff needs to be clarified.
And people who get in on the ground floor and own it, boy, that value is going to go up. Well, it would seem that President Trump and his family and the White House specifically are now playing that game.
And God forbid that people make any money in this freaking country. God forbid we have something where we can actually profit, or we could actually have some sort of store of value in the long run. These people, these globalists that are just putting out these messages, who knows if this is really even Rachel's true opinion? They don't want you to make money. They want you to be poor forever. And it's really a bullish sign that they are actually taking this stance here. So I'm actually really pleased. So I'm actually really pleased here. So that's going to be the end of this segment. Let me know what you thought about the strategic Bitcoin reserve and the digital asset stockpile. And what do you think about the whole thing unfolding before our eyes? I think it's awesome. Wonderful move towards a great future for all of us, and definitely buy some Bitcoin now. I'm sure the price is going to be booming before you know it. We're definitely still in a bull run. So if you want to buy any Bitcoin, I have my link in the description, and thank you for watching the segment.